everybody. Welcome to the 3W podcast. I'm your host, Casey Oakley. Thank you for joining me again. I have an amazing badass here with me today, Twilla Brooks. And I can't even go into her titles because she has too many titles, but we're going to slowly but surely. So, Twilla, how are you?
I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I thank you.
Yeah.
You're kind of my host. You're not my host. You're my first guest for the 2025 season.
Wow.
I know. Thank you.
And I think our worlds just collided that it worked out.
I love that.
Yeah.
Our worlds collided a few years ago.
That's true. It did.
I kind of was running into you at LPGA events, the Women Empowerment Summit and the big tent you all do.
Yep.
And I'm like, who are you? I didn't know who you were. I feel bad. You looked really familiar, but I'm like, who are you? You're kind of a mover and a shaker. And then I talked to Cammie Jo. I was like, who is this person that's buzzing around that seems to know everybody? And she's like, how do you not know Twilla? And I'm like, I don't know Twilla. Who's Twilla? And so then I forced you to get to know me.
Yeah.
And
I think I was still at Walmart, right?
You were phasing out.
I was phasing out. Yeah.
I snagged you for the magazine, on your fresh exit.
On my fresh exit.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, you were the first interview for my exit. And at the time, I didn't really know what I was doing.
You did it. I loved it.
I knew I had a game planned. And I think at the time, I was still working with the Mars really well.
Uh-huh.
But I had kind of teased that I was going to do something different, right?
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
We met at Blake Street, your favorite place.
My favorite place.
Which is on down the list. He's
on down the list.
Yeah. We did your photo shoot at Blake Street.
We sure did.
You're all things Blake Street.
I'm all things Blake Street.
You're all things Bentonville.
I'm all things Bentonville. I still love LA. So if I'm not in Bentonville, I'm always in LA. Mm-hmm. But there's just something.
Dodgers.
Go Dodgers. Yes, they're doing well. There's just something about Blake Street where the staff there, they're so opening. You could have that privacy where you don't have to worry about a bunch of people trying to find you. The food's great. And it's just something about coming in the front door and someone saying, hey, Twilla,
I know,
haven't
right?
seen you in a while.
Yes.
So
they keep tabs on you.
They do.
Okay.
Sometimes I feel like they do. They're like, oh, when are you going to do that?
That's good.
Oh, no,
right?
that's good.
Accountability.
That is.
I
agree with that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about you. Tell us who you are.
So obviously Twilla Brooks. I've been in Bentonville now for a little over 13 years.
Okay. Yeah. Came here fresh out of school. No.
I wish.
Retail.
I wish.
Retail.
Oh my God, you're so nice. Yeah, I moved here from.
Well, no, I'm sorry. There was a connect the dots. It was college and then.
Yeah. So college.
Marshall Fields.
Yeah. Well, technically, kind of. So
I can't remember. I didn't do my research. I'm just we're here to talk about BFF.
Yes. So graduated from UC Santa Barbara. At the time, I thought that I would go into law school, but I ran into a really good friend of mine who was an associate buyer for a division of May company at the time called Robinson's May. And he was like, I thought he was in law school. And he was like, no, I just fell in love with this company. And you should come and meet the recruiter. And it was kind of, the rest is history. I always wondered, would I go back to law school? But, I give a lot of credit to Robinson's May really kind of teaching me. They really cared about their people and they set you up with people who were going to look after you.
And for people that don't know, what were their brands?
So Robinson's May, but that at the time, that was really where it was a difference between you had really high-end brands at the time like Liz Claiborne or Ralph Lauren, but then you also had, moderate clothing where, it was very affordable. So they had this great way of being able to, and I feel like I still do it till today. I call it the High-Low Project, where they were so accessible to so many different people. And I think that they really helped me with my foundation of retail, but I think in life, of really kind of how to operate as an executive, how to work really, really hard. There's people who worked really hard. And ironically, one of my closest friends that we've known each other since I was 23 and we were buyers together, I just celebrated her birthday this weekend in New York. And we kind of looked at each other and we're like, we've been doing this thing for almost 27 years.
How amazing is that?
And so, so a lot of great friendships, a really good foundation of the person that I knew I wanted to be in. And then from there, Robinson's May got bought out by Macy's.
Right. Okay. That's where I was getting at that. Yes.
Got bought out by Macy's, and they moved me to San Francisco, where I really kind of created this foundation where I kind of became where I really learned that I loved adaptability, that I loved learning new things. And I kind of became like their brand builder. I started in moderate petites, and then I got the great opportunity to move into better sportswear, where, I got to work with the likes of Tommy Hilfiger and Liz Claiborne, Isaac Mizrahi for Liz Claiborne.
But you still have all these connections to this day.
And the thing that's so crazy through all these brands, I got a call from someone that I worked with from Iconics that stems back from over 20 plus years ago, that when I was at Robinson's May. And this was a call like a month ago. So you just never know who the connectors are and the people that you'll keep in touch with.
I love it.
But, we're a really tight-knit group from Robinson's May. And then for those of us who went to Macy's, we stayed really closely. And then when Macy's decided that they were going to close all their regional offices, I moved from San Francisco, and ironically, a mentor of mine who was a GMM SVP in LA gave me a call and said, "Hey, I know you're going to go to Macy's, but I think you need to look at this company called Walmart." And I was like, "Well, what's
I'm
Walmart?"
not moving to the middle of the country.
Well, no,
You're so California.
I'm so California, and I was already thinking about moving to New York, and they had a fashion office in New York. And
a long time ago. And, the Walmart team, they came in, they were very focused. They recruited me, after time, SVP over product development and sourcing and brand, Mary Fox, who's actually now, she was then at L'Oreal. She was like, "You need to come and do this." And if you think about connections, because I feel like my whole life is like a connected thread. There was a woman named Mary from Iconics who knew me when I worked for Oscar de la Renta and Isaac Mizrahi for Liz Claiborne. And she gave my name to Walmart, who then reached out to an SVP. And that's how I basically ended up at Walmart. And ironically, that same person is the person that reached out to me a month ago. I love that. I love this.
Is that crazy?
Yes.
Yeah. So then fast forward, Walmart had their fashion office in New York for 3 years. And they closed that office, and they were like, we want to move you to Bentonville. And I was like, no. Right. And I was like, I'll move back to California. And at the time, JCPenney's was interested in me. And it was Andy Barron, who since has retired. He said to me, "Twilla, you have such a great career with a company, and we want to invest in you and move you to Bentonville, but you want to go to another company in Texas that you've never been to." He was like, "We're not that far from Texas." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He was like, "I'm from Texas and I live in Bentonville." And so he was like, "You need to go down there and just check it out." And, fortunately for me, I took up, I did that. And then with so many great mentors just guided my career over the next 10 years. And then, all good things must come to an end. And I think during COVID, I kind of had this realization that I had been just moving and taking roles based off of people who I consider to be mentors, who have kind of guided me and said that this is your next step. But I never had the time to sit still and say, well, what is your next step?
Or what do I want to do?
What do I want to do? Because a lot of times sometimes you think you're happy because you have a lot of success. And happiness doesn't always equate with success. And so COVID forced us all to sit still, right? Because we didn't know what was going on. And I had a lot of time to think. And somewhere in that time, I just said, I don't think this is what I'm supposed to be doing in 10 years. And I set myself up nicely with other investments. And, I talked to Walmart.
Because of other mentors that advised you and advised directions.
Yeah.
Which was so great.
And Walmart was so amazing to me. They were like, we understand, we'll let you go on your way and kind of do your thing. And they wanted to know if I was going to move back to LA. And I was like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I'm going to kind of find my way. And I feel like I would say more so over the last 14 months, I'm really kind of finding my way.
And I would say I met you solid 3 years ago.
Solid 3 years ago. But I think we might have, first time we might have met was Interform, I think, maybe.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah,
but I think we like really got connected 3 or 4 years ago.
Exactly.
Because I was like, I'm going to make you my friend.
Yes. And then we were like, we should be friends.
Yes.
And so, and the rest is history. And then I started this, Lynette Create and Innovate, which Lynette is my middle name. I knew I was creative and I want to be innovative. I tried to use my initials, but I found out TLB is pretty well known and a lot of people use that. So they were like, no, you can't do that. And so I kind of just been finding my way where mostly I started in brand because that's what I knew. But I think fortunately for me, I got to work with the Mars and then I got to work through the Bentonville Film Festival. They're really teaching me about, PR, public relations, about marketing, and then really understanding that this world of digital marketing, because over the last 5 years, the world shifted from brick and mortar to online. And so really understanding that space. And I'm excited because AI has kind of also introduced a different way to think.
It's wicked.
It's wicked. And you have to be, you kind of have to give it its flowers a little bit.
You do.
But you also have to stay on top of it.
Right.
And so, so as you are creating that content, you do have to be careful because I do believe that the world that we live in, you have to be authentic and you have to be organic and you have to show up and you just have to make sure that AI is not creating a space where you're not who you are.
Oh, right. It's going to create like an alter ego.
Yeah.
If you don't court it correctly.
Yeah. And I'm fascinated by it.
Yes.
So you take the world of retail and you merge it with entertainment. And there's so much that from a retail that I could utilize in entertainment, right? And then Walmart, if anything, taught me to be organized, to be prepared for anything. And I think as the worlds start to merge, I'm learning a lot, but a lot of the assets that I learned from Walmart is helping me be successful in the company that I have today.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We were talking offline of being an entrepreneur. Nobody goes into entrepreneurship to be a millionaire overnight, right?
Exactly.
Blood, sweat, and tears. And to know your worth.
Right.
And you essentially work for below minimum wage.
Pretty much. Yeah.
At first.
Yeah. You take on projects.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah. You take on projects. We have a couple of, because part of it I wanted to kind of help entrepreneurs and small business owners, right? And a lot of times they are not necessarily working on a huge budget.
No, they have the shoestring budget.
But you have to convince them of the greatness. And a lot of times there's a lot of like push and pull.
Yes.
And you learn a lot and you just have to be ready when it blows up.
Right.
Obviously I worked for a brand that, in the beginning, with Dave and Jenny, they were very small and mighty.
Right.
To
scale
it's
hard.
To scale it to hard.
And so, like, for you to have that expertise, when Dave and Jenny were first launching, scale.
Right.
You worked in it for 10 plus years.
Yeah.
And so, for you to hold their hand through it, I feel like was probably who they needed.
Yeah. And, I think it was a really good balance, too, because, if you meet Dave and Jenny, they're very interesting because they're different, but they're similar, right? Where what I learned a lot from Jenny is your brand and who you are is extremely important, and you have to hold tight to it,
which is hard. You've got a bunch of people pulling you in different directions,
and you have a bunch of people pulling you. And I think for me, I was able to kind of pull her a little bit where she could see the level of growth, but it's tough because you have to be able to trust people, and some people you can't, right? And then Dave's side is all about, he has this amazing innate ability to think outside the box and to recognize the good in people and to see something, but for him, he might be going too fast.
Right.
Where I'm on the ride with him, but we'll both look at each other and be like, all right, maybe that's a little bit too fast. And so I learned so much from the both of them about, and what they're doing with their brand is amazing. And I love now where I'm really more of a spectator. But I get to kind of come around when something comes up that I think is important to them. And because we have such a good relationship, they're like, oh, well, what is this?
I mean, but your relationship goes back before the show.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think is authentic.
Yeah.
Right? You weren't just like, oh, y'all are like famous Bentonville people now. I'm going to come work for you.
Right.
It's like they did your home. This was back when they were just their own construction.
Yeah, he was just Mars Developing. And, for Walmart, I was really starting to kind of, get promoted and really, get involved in this community. And I was like, I could see myself here. In order to do that, I need to purchase a home. And how lucky was I that, when I went to go buy a home, and the home that I wanted to buy just happened to be one of the homes that he was building. And then, that spawned out a relationship.
It's
fate. It's so fate because
the way
honestly,
was supposed to be.
I knew Jenny, but I really know her well. I really knew him, and we were friends. And then we did quite a few projects together, and then we would kind of ask each other for opinion on different things. You know what I mean? And then it just kind of created a bigger thing. And then when I retired and I didn't know what I wanted to do, it just was like a perfect opportunity for us all. It's like we all needed each other at that point.
Right. It was a good spot to breathe on.
It's a good spot to breathe.
Figure out where you were going to go while still being busy.
And be busy and be around people that you trust.
Right.
Which is not the easiest thing to do as an entrepreneur and in the world that, we live in, because there is a big difference between corporate and, small businesses entrepreneur. Walmart, it's ethical. It's, where that line is. You don't cross that line. You see in the world that we are on this side, it can be real gray. And so part of me did love having boundaries. You know what I mean? Because but then when you become an entrepreneur, you have to recreate your boundaries.
You do. And they just look different.
They're still great. I mean, obviously you still have your core values. You still have your ethics. The dynamic is just a little bit different.
Yes. And that's okay.
And that's okay.
It's the only constant in life is change.
It's change, which is what I love.
Right. I love that.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Before we jump into BFFs, so we essentially have already talked about your aha moment and how we met. Let's talk about Bentonville.
Okay.
So that'll be a good segue for BFF.
Yep.
What's your favorite food?
In Bentonville?
Yes. We can't go to LA and have a Dodger dog.
Yeah. So my favorite restaurant, and I'm obsessed with, and I'm there all the time, is Junto.
Oh, you know what? I cannot get a reservation.
Oh my God.
It is ridiculous.
I'm so lucky. Because I don't eat red meat and I don't eat pork. Right. I don't really eat duck. Like I pretty much live off of fish. Occasionally I'll do chicken, because you have to. But
it's literally in our backyard.
It's in our backyard. But my favorite restaurant in LA, which is obviously Nobu, but it's not an attainable thing that you can do all the time.
No.
Super expensive, very hard to get a reservation. But, when you go to Junto, my two things that I love is they make a yellowtail carpaccio and they make a crispy rice.
Okay.
So literally sometimes I just order it and I drive up to the valet and then I go pick up those two items and then I go home.
Okay, I've never thought about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I want to go in and experience the whole vibe.
But the other secret is
been able to.
Just go sit at the bar.
Okay.
Not the bar inside the restaurant.
The bar outside?
The bar inside the hotel.
Bar?
Nope, not bar.
Okay.
The bar inside the hotel, they also serve it. So if you can't get a reservation, you can just roll in there and you can still get the best moment. And, they've been adding a few. They also added this, which I thought was interesting. It's almost like a Korean fried chicken kind of a thing. So I thought that was pretty good. But hands down, my favorite.
Junto. Have you had their brunch? I heard it's amazing.
You know what? Someone else told me to go to their brunch, and I have not. That would require me to be here on weekends more.
Well, that's true, and you tend to get jet set.
I tend to jet set, and it's been raining for 40 days and 40 nights. And
oh my gosh, I can't even talk about it. So I can't even deal with it.
By far my favorite, but I know that there's a couple of new restaurants that are. I want to try Celeste, which is the new Sicilian restaurant. Yeah, so. I want to try that. And then Blake Street just opened up a new restaurant as well. So there's a few.
Have you tried Callisto?
Oh, yes. Oh, so that would be my second.
Okay. I just got to experience that a couple of weeks, like a month ago. We did a photo shoot there in the fall and it was so cool. Yeah. And then it's so tiny, I can never get a reservation there either. And I got one. Yeah. I loved it.
I love it. I love the drinks there. There is, I don't know what it's called, but it's almost like their drinks are always like over the top.
Totally.
And then I love their skewers, but they also are really good because they play with a lot of like vegetarian options.
Oh, we got some amazing cauliflower.
Cauliflower.
Oh my gosh, that was to die for.
Korean.
Yes, it was
barbecue.
amazing.
It was amazing. So they do really good, and their skewers are great. So that would be
Super vibey.
my second one.
Okay. I love
would be
that.
my second one. Yeah.
Okay, cocktail. What's the go-to? What is like? So I'm meeting Twilla, and she's late, which she isn't.
Yeah.
But she's stuck in traffic. What do I order her?
Well, hopefully you. There's a Sauv Blanc from New Zealand.
Okay.
But I'm really getting into Sancerre. Right. So so that's I love that. But okay, this is going to sound interesting. So I didn't drink from. So I did. So basically, after New Year's, I basically didn't drink all of January, all of February, and most into March.
Okay.
Right. So
Did you go into mocktails?
Yes.
Okay.
So my cocktail that I really love is almost like a Hugo Spritz,
Okay.
but without obviously the alcohol. They serve it at Blake Street, and they use like a Gia, which is almost like an alcohol alternative.
Okay.
And it's so good. It's almost like a lime, like club soda.
Walk me
with
through
lime.
this.
It's club soda, lime.
Pretend alcohol.
I think pretend alcohol, and there's got to be something else in it
Okay.
that makes it a little sweet.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I might have to try one of those.
Yeah.
What's your favorite time of day?
Okay. My favorite time of day is I love breakfast. Right.
I met you for breakfast.
Yes.
Many times.
I love waking up, and if it's a really nice day, at right now, my tradition is I love tennis. Other than baseball, if I'm not doing baseball, it's tennis. Well, the French Open is on.
Okay.
Right. So in the mornings, typically the really good matches are on 7:30, 8 o'clock. So
because that's prime time.
Because it's prime time in France, right? So like yesterday morning at 7:30, I sat out on my deck and I watched Coco while I had a chai.
Okay. Well, that sounds peaceful.
And you know what it does is
Set
it
the
just
tone
gives
for the
me
day.
time. It just gives me time to kind of in my mind, set everything that I want. What are my intentions? What is the stuff that I need to get done?
Yes.
But it's my favorite time of day. And typically in Arkansas around this time, if it's not raining, it's probably in the morning, around 70.
I can see that.
I just sit back with my pool, turn the pool on, and if I'm lucky, and then I just sit there and I don't do anything, but I watch the match and I drink my chai. I don't check emails. I don't do
That's
anything.
impressive.
Yeah.
Especially for an entrepreneur, that's impressive.
Well, yeah. Well, part of what I wanted to do when I left Walmart was my time was not my time. And even as an entrepreneur, your time cannot be your time. But I was trying to create boundaries where my mornings or at 5:30, 6 o'clock, I might say to my team, all right, I'm going to go work out, eat dinner. I'll probably be back on at 8 o'clock. But what are those intentions to kind of keep me still who I am, level my stress, and just be excited about the opportunity.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Morning.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a good one. Do you have a hidden talent?
Do I have a hidden talent? Besides, I think everyone really knows my hidden talent, with playing softball, but that's not really a hidden talent. I think one of my hidden talents is I love to make flower arrangements.
Stop it. You did the flower arrangements for a small BFF event last year.
Yeah, I
Leading
did.
Up to the kickoff.
Yep, I did it.
Was it at your house?
It was at my house. Yep.
Yes.
So I did all the flowers.
A lot of
I've
paintings,
done
that's what I
flowers.
remember
Yep.
saying.
Yep. And then I love hydrangeas. And my hat, because everyone's like, where are you getting these amazing flowers? I go to Sam's Club.
Oh, they have the best flowers.
They have the best flowers.
It's like a flower market around that cooler.
It literally is a flower market.
Yes, I love it.
And if you're nice to the ladies and you'll be like, well, I'm noticing you're out of white roses or yellow
They got that
roses
stuff hidden and they'll hook you up.
They'll hook. And if you're nice,
Yes, you're going to be nice.
they'll hook you up. And so that would probably be my head talent. And I love it so. And then now it's getting to a point where my friends are like, hey, can you make flower arrangements for me?
Nice.
I did a baby shower for my good friend, and I had to do 8, which I thought I had to do 8, but I just really only had to do 3. But she gave me she bought these things from Walmart, from Amazon, where it had baby around it, and there was 8 of them. So I thought she needed 8.
For sure. Of course.
But she's like, I only needed 3.
Okay.
So yeah,
We'll
so
be clear
that
next
would be a good hidden talent. That would be a good hidden talent.
Okay. Do you have a karaoke song?
So okay. if it depends on how I feel, but I'm obsessed with Adele. So I love singing "Set Fire to the Rain." I know it's crazy. Like I'll scream it at the top of my lungs. But most people who know me, they know that I love music. So like my car and music is like my jam. And like right now I'm obsessed with like Nicki Minaj's with collab with Rihanna called The Fly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just singing it at the top of my lung in the car. And I've gotten text messages from people who would say that they've been, and although I did just get my windows tinted a little bit more because too many people could see me. And so if I want to act a fool in my car, I think it's very hard to see.
The car is such a sacred space.
Oh yeah.
For a jam session.
Yeah.
And I oftentimes have two littles next to me and their eyes cannot get in the back of their head fast enough. And I'm like, I don't care because just hold on. And it's such a stress reliever.
Oh my God, it's such a stress reliever.
It feels so good.
And I do it all the time now. It's like the best thing.
It is the best. It doesn't matter if it's pouring down rain, which again, that's all it's done for 40 days. Yes. You need a boat. But it feels amazing.
It feels amazing.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay, last question on you.
Mm-hmm.
I know what I think we know what you wanted to do at 13 was be a lawyer. Okay, aside from your phone and wallet, what do you have to have?
Aside from my phone and my wallet, my AirPods.
Really? That's your go-to?
Yeah, because I'm on a plane all the time.
You are, yes.
Right.
The raw dogging on the plane for you?
No. No. Listen, if I get on the plane, before I even get on the plane, I already have them in. Right?
Oh, you're that person?
Oh, yeah.
I am so not cool enough to be that person.
And then I have like my Dodger hat on and my hair and I'm low. Right?
They're like, she must be famous.
And I was like, don't talk to me. Like I have like my music. And it's funny because the flight we just came back from New York, there's like a bunch of people on there from Walmart. And we all talked like before we got on, but then I was like, listen, I'm focused. Like I've been at home for like 4 days. I have like 2 movies that I want to watch. Like I need to listen to my music like
by now.
So I would say that is that. And then I gotta have lotion.
Okay.
So I love to at Sephora or at Ulta to buy the little lotions and keep them in to a point where like now I had I think I had Gina because Gina asked me for lotion and I think she stole it. So she was like, "This is really good.
I like this."
And I was like,
"Thing,
give it back."
She's like, "I can chew that."
So yeah, so that would probably be what I need to have.
Okay, so we're gonna jump off. We're gonna have a part 2.
Okay.
And we're gonna really dive into BFF.
Yeah.
Give me a teaser so everybody will join us for part 2.
So listen, I think that part 2, the Bentonville Film Festival, our theme this year is find yourself in film.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so appropriate for where that's me. I guess they found themselves in film as well. It's so appropriate for the world that we're in right now, where there's so much adversity that what I love about it is there's so many different things that you could find yourself in, right? That you might love, right? Whether it's from the filmmakers who are from all walks of life, right? But we're doing a couple of things that I think are extremely important where we added a homegrown section.
Okay, you all launched that Media Day. And I was sitting there and I had tears in my eyes when Alison De La Hussey was speaking.
Yeah.
About, it's way back in my notes. What did she say? But she went to one of the panels about being in charge of your own destiny 11 years ago.
Yeah.
And that is what energized her to be here to speak on your microphone that day about Ridge to River.
Yeah. And, the thing is, there's beyond that, the ashes.
Ashes, yes.
Which, this is a film that is super powerful because it talks a lot about the challenges that these writers go to and what happens when there's something doesn't go their way and how they kind of get back up on. The other thing, too, is sovereign. right? So Sovereign with Nick Offerman and Dennis Quaid and Nancy Travis, and you never know, they may be here. But that was filmed.
I mean, right? That's going to be like the big
Springdale.
fancy
That'll
one
be the
because
big
of the
fancy one
names,
because of the
right?
names
But
that are
I
attached to
love the
But
local homegrown, and I know that's a homegrown one too. But the other,
but we also have that we're announcing. We have a tribute to Juneteenth, and there's 4 films that we're going to announce, and 3 of them have to do closely with the state of Arkansas. So one is called Colbert. All students can learn about the first African American superintendent in Fayetteville.
oh my gosh.
Traveling.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Recently. Yes. I
Recently,
just now in processing what you're
once you
saying. Yes.
get it out,
I'm like,
right?
oh, well, yeah, I remember.
So, Traveling Mercies, which is a short, but it was filmed at Bentonville High School, and in downtown Bentonville, you'll see Yayo's on the screen. And then Paris 3, where it talks about 3 young girls who were 12 and 13 who were thrown in a jail in Paris, Kentucky. Well, the senior director, her grandmother is one of the Paris 3, and the senior director works for Walmart.
Oh my gosh.
So there'll be
so
stories,
many dots to home.
So there'll be so many to that will highlight homegrown. So we're super excited about that. But also, we're the Bentonville Film Festival, right? Where we have huge ties to New York and to Los Angeles, but there's also a lot of great movies and different things that are being filmed in the state of Arkansas. So this really gives us an opportunity to highlight it.
I love that. I think that's right. You're turning 11.
Yes, exactly.
And BFF came on the scene 11 years ago, and it was like, oh my gosh, all these famous people are going to be here all the time.
Exactly.
But look what it's morphed into.
Right.
It's taken 11 years to bring this homegrown to the light, and that's what it means.
Well, that's the thing that's so great about the Bentonville Film Festival is, you get an opportunity to see over 100 films, right? But there's also panels where you will be able to talk about, the effects of having a disability, right?
The panels are so inspiring.
The panels are so inspiring.
They're one of my favorite.
But then
pieces.
There's that other great thing about us where we highlight the community, where starting on Thursday afternoon in the outdoor theater, the Gina Davis Outdoor Theater, everything is free.
Everything is
free, right? So where this one is really dedicated to families, you know what I mean? Where you can bring your kids out. So think about it. If you're a family of 4 on a Thursday afternoon, because it is the summer, you can bring them out to watch Wild Robot.
Yep.
Get free food.
Yes. Free drinks.
Popcorn, free drinks, and just enjoy the night.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And then on Saturday is going to be insane.
It is going to be wild.
We have over 35 activations highlighting some of the biggest toys, some of the biggest characters.
Oh my gosh, yes, we're going to touch on that.
Yeah.
You're giving everything away.
Yeah, I'm giving too much away, so I'll stop.
I'm going to shut you down.
I'll shut me down. Shut me down.
Okay, so Miss Twilla touched on popcorn, so I can't let you all go without thanking our podcast sponsor, Hershey Salty Snacks, because they have Skinny Pop and Pirate Booty and Dot's Homestyle Pretzels. And have you had the cinnamon sugar ones?
I have not. I might have to try these.
I will get you some.
Okay.
They're freaking amazing.
I want them.
They're just to die for.
Yeah.
So you all come back for part 2, and we're going to dive into all things BFF, and maybe we'll tell you where Gina is. I don't know.
Yes.
You'll just have to wait and
You
see,
never know.
right?
Yeah.
So till next time, Twila, thank you. I'll see you again in a minute.
See you again.
But appreciate y'all for joining us. So keep inspiring a culture of giving. Thanks.